What's going on, guys? It's Hank from Sprues and Brews, and today I'm going to show you how I made this awesome little base for my 1/72 scale TBF Avenger. This is a great way to display some of your aircraft builds, and one of the best parts is you can build this with just a few components you probably already have at the house. So with that said, let's check it out. Alright everybody, so here are all the supplies you're going to need to make your very own display base like the one I just showed you. First things first, you're going to need a picture frame. I'm using a 5x7. You'll need some tin foil, a hot glue gun and glue sticks, some Mod Podge. This has to be the gloss finish, some white acrylic paint, just cheap stuff you have is fine. A couple of different color blues. I'm using my good Ammo MIG spray stuff, but if you have blue spray paint, that's fine. You can use that as well. The clear plastic rod from our Avenger build video. If you haven't seen that yet, you can check it out here. We're gonna use our airbrush a little bit. A bit of airbrush thinner to keep it clean. Some black acrylic primer. And of course, our paintbrushes. And I've got a little fuel for me. First thing we're going to want to do here is take the stand off our picture frame. I was able to do this without much trouble, but just be careful while you do it. We're also going to take the glass out. We won't be needing that today. And we'll just put the backing right back in the frame there. We're going to start building up our water texture with some aluminum foil. So start by ripping off a big sheet here. And we're going to use our hands to work this into a shape that fits inside of our frame. It's okay if it spills out a little bit onto the outside of the actual wood of the frame. It's a nice effect. You'll see how we handle that later. But you just want to kind of work this into the recess where the picture would be. We're going to use a few more sheets of foil here to build up that recess in the center where that picture would be. We want this to be pretty level across the way here to kind of replicate the ocean. Obviously, we don't want big sinkholes in the middle of our diorama. While you're working, just kind of smush the foil in place here. I know it's not going to want to stay, but we're going to come back and revisit that later. We're going to use a little hot glue to hold these in place, but right now, just try and get that general shape ironed out. This little disc shape here is what you're trying to achieve. Okay, now we're going to take our hot glue gun and we're going to fill in the seams in between these individual pieces of tin foil. You only want to do this on the sections that aren't staying down on their own. Just kind of go along the cracks here, put in some hot glue and carefully push it down. Make sure you don't burn yourself. And then you'll get one solid disc like this. You can see on the bottom there, that is the recess that's going to fit nicely into our picture frame. So my plan here originally was to spray the whole thing with a bit of black primer, but it was taking forever. So I changed plans and I stepped outside and hit this whole thing with some black spray paint. If you have a well-ventilated area and a can of spray paint kicking around, this works perfectly well and will save you some time. And this is the result we're gonna get, a nice shiny black meteorite looking thing. One of the nice things about using this picture frame technique is that you can just pop the aluminum foil out while you're working on it and you're not going to have to worry about masking or overspraying on the actual wood of the frame. Now we're going to take one of our blue colors. This is the darker of my two blues. This is Ammo MIG's Sea Blue. And we're going to cover the whole upper surface of the aluminum foil with that color. Don't worry about being too thorough with that first coat of blue. It's okay if some of the black primer shines through. It's actually going to help give some depth and drama to our waves here. Now we're taking the lighter of the two blues. This is Ammo's Intermediate Blue, but again, you can use any blue you have that's a little lighter than your last one. And we're going to spray this over the top to create some variation within these waves. No hard set rules here with how you want to paint. We just want to create some variation between the darks and lights in our water. So just go with it until you like the final result. That is it for the base tones and the spraying portion of our paint job here. We're going to move on to a little brush painting to pull out some highlights on the tops of those waves. So we're going to use that cheap acrylic white paint that I showed you earlier. We're going to do some dry brushing. So load up your brush, wipe most of it off on a paper towel here, And then we're just gonna gently go along the raised edges of all of these wave peaks here. And this is gonna make some crests in the waves. This white color is representing, when a wave breaks, like breakers in the ocean. And from a distance, like if we were up high in our aircraft looking down, when these waves break, you can just see that white froth kind of kick up. And this helps create some variation between the darkest blues of our water and those lightest areas where, again, this water would be spraying up in the air and breaking over with a rolling wave. Once those white elements have been painted and the paint is dry, we're gonna get a little bit of the Mod Podge here, and we are gonna coat the entire upper surface of our aluminum foil with the Mod Podge. This is gonna go on white, but don't worry, it's gonna dry clear, so just make sure you cover all the little nooks and crannies and get everything with a nice even coat. Mod Podge is a great tool to have in your scale modeling arsenal because it works as a sealing agent, and for something like this, it helps protect your paint layer, and it dries with a nice high gloss, so it's gonna make this really look like water, like actual waves in the ocean. One thing to keep in mind, this does take a while to dry, so be patient, step away for a few hours and let it do its thing. Then we're gonna come back and finish the paint job. And here's our piece once the Mod Podge has dried. You can see this is already looking so much better with that high gloss. This is actually starting to look like water. So this last step in the paint phase here, what we're gonna do is take some of that white acrylic paint and we're gonna pull out the biggest waves that we envision in our ocean scene here. So really use your imagination here. We're gonna make some of the biggest, scariest waves in our ocean scene here. Find some of the highest peaks in the tin foil or big long sections that look like a massive wave about to crest, and add that nice white frothy element to the top of those points. It's gonna add so much character to your piece, and I think this is really what separates this from just a smush of tin foil and a big, beautiful ocean. One of my favorite things about this technique is it creates this awesome illusion. Once you've mounted the aircraft on here, your brain can't really tell if the plane's flying right down at the surface of the water or thousands of feet up in the air. It all depends on the angle you're standing at and the view of the aircraft you have. It's an awesome technique. So to mount the actual plane, we're gonna break out the power drill again, gonna get a bit that matches our post size, and we're gonna drill a hole right in the center of our base. Next, I took a little bit of foam that I had laying around the house. This is like some neoprene foam that I used for Halloween last year. We're gonna drill a hole in that matches our post size, and this is gonna support the post. So it's gonna allow it to be added or removed whenever you want, but it's also gonna give us some rigidity. So when you put the post in there, you can adjust the aircraft to any angle you really want. Now we're gonna attach that bit of foam to the bottom of our base here. I'm just adding some hot glue. Keep in mind I'm not gluing the post into the actual foam here. I'm just using this as a guide. We are gonna slide our base onto the post and down onto the piece of foam here, so those two pieces line up, and when we add or remove our post, it's gonna stick right into the foam. Okay, getting close to the end here. We're gonna take our hot glue gun again, and we're gonna go along all the outside edges of our water here, and we're gonna actually fix this to our picture frame. Once all the glue dries, we're gonna treat those exposed edges the same way we treated our waves. We're gonna get our white paint, and we're just gonna highlight those as if they're breaking waves rolling out on the very outsides of our diorama here. This is a super important finishing touch because it makes it look like the waveform is just bursting right out of our picture frame. Okay, there we go. Let's attach our model and see how the finished product looks. All right, here is the finished base for our 1/72 scale TBF Avenger. This is a really cool way to display your models if you want to mix it up a little bit. I think most of the time we build our kits with the landing gear down. If you want to do something in a flying position, this can be a really cool option. It's pretty quick and easy. You should be able to make it with stuff you've already got kicking around the house, or a quick trip to the hardware store, and you can create something really special. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you give this a go yourself, come back, leave a comment below. I'd be really curious to hear how it went. Or you can take a picture, tag me in it on Instagram at spruesandbrews. I would love to see your finished project. All right, friends, until next time, be well, happy building, cheers.